Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David and I'm your host. Today I want to talk about and discuss some suggestive plans for TTFA moving forward. As you know, football is shut down and everything surrounding football is shut down. So it'd be very hard to kickstart it again. So I've got a panel. I bring fresh blood for you guys, viewers, on my panel who will discuss these issues and throw out suggestions for the Normalization Committee or whoever is responsible for TTFA football. Let me take time to introduce the panel. Next to me is Brian Williams. Welcome to set, Brian.
Thank you, Steve.
It's always good to see you, partner. Everything good?
It's a pleasure, yeah.
All right. All right, next to Brian is Linda Bramble. Welcome to set, Linda.
Thank you very much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here.
And you are struggling to find out what's going on?
Yes, I am definitely, especially in the field of refereeing.
Especially with the referees.
That's right.
So we have time to discuss that as well. And Dexter, the new brand, Dexter Cyrus. Welcome to set, Dexter.
Nice to be here, Steve.
You're looking fine. You throw off some weight. You just look like you're a bag of health.
Yeah, man. Look for a recall on you.
All right. So set the example, set the standard. Okay, so as you know, viewers, football in Trinidad and Tobago is like non-existent. So everybody wants to know what's going on. So am I. So I would try to feel out from my panel on what they know and what they air to the ground, so what they know, and we would throw out some suggestions as to what should happen. Again, we don't know, and we just suggesting and throwing out ideas for TTFA because we know it's going to be difficult to kick it off again. And the longer we stay not doing anything, inactive, the worse it's going to be, the harder it's going to be to start. So guys, first, before we talk about that, just give me just a general idea of what you think is happening with football. Let's give me your personal view on what you think is happening or whatever you have to say. I want to start with you, Linda.
Okay. Well, for me, definitely, I don't think anything is really taking place. And we really need to kickstart things because the longer we wait, the harder it's going to get, as you say. We need to put things in place so that whenever you hear the team sport starts back, that at least we have the mechanisms in place so that we can start moving forward. Definitely for me, as you know, my thing is refereeing. And for the referees, nothing is taking place. Because firstly, we need to get, first of all, the referees committee in place. Then we need to get the referees department up and running. Because presently, we do not have persons on the referees committee, chairman of the referees committee, because definitely, just before the elections in November, there was a meeting with CONCACAF and the members, the persons who were involved in the development of referees in Trinidad and Tobago. And one of the suggestions that was made was that Joseph Taylor not be the chairman of the referees committee because of conflict of interest, because of his involvement with the TTFRA. And also a suggestion that Bonnie Bishop not be the head of the referees department. And as you know, that information was passed on to the new executive, and they still went ahead and did that. So right now, everything is at a standstill. Information concerning this was sent to Mr. Haddad, so he has that information of what was the recommendation after that meeting. So I hope that soon and very soon that something will take place, because right now the referees, nothing is taking place, especially at the national level. And although football is not playing, usually we have classes going on virtually and so forth, and nothing is taking place nationally. I know for sure in South Zone, where I am the head of the training committee, we have planned to start back our training with our referees. But nationally, we really need to start, but we have to get those mechanisms in place, referees committee and the head of the referees department in place.
And we will discuss your plan, what you think the plan should be going forward.
Of course.
All right, so now Brian or Dexter, any one of you guys can jump in. What do you think about football?
Right now, Brian.
Well, I think, Steve, I think we share the general consensus of what taking place presently, football in Trinidad, nothing taking place. And to be fair to most of the departments is the present situation which we are in recently took place, that it's difficult for any type of positive movement or planning to take place, seeing the situation that we recently was in or coming out of. Saying so, that I think it's important for us, the TTFA, I should say, or the governing body, or the, as we would say, the Normalization Committee presently, to see how quickly they could put things in place by the respective departments in the football fraternity and football in general. The TTFA as the governing body have to take the forward drive in what they want to do and what plans they have. We know we are being restricted by the recent pandemic, the COVID, that things, team sports not taking place and stuff like that. But as Linda said, there's things, if we have things in place, could be done behind the scenes or while that restriction taking place in terms of team sports cannot take place. And that is something that we have to look into, really. Football in Trinidad, as we say, to put ourselves where we was once as a regional powerhouse and stuff like that. We need to understand as a football association how important it is for us to come together. Trust, support for each other, coming together to move the football in a positive way. I think that is my main concern, because all of us are aware of what took place in the past and what has happened, and we need to move forward. Seeing that the people who now responsible or they are putting in place now to move our football, we have to really see how best they could move in that positive way in terms, as I said, of trust and simplifying our football. One of my main areas, besides all the challenges, we know important finance is, but then besides all the challenges, the restructuring of our game is important. And that is one of the areas that I would like to talk a little bit more about in terms of our football. But just before Cyrus speak, during the time when the Pro League first came into operation in Trinidad and Tobago, Mr. Larry Romani, who at that time was working in the Pro League, we did our assessment of football in Trinidad and Tobago in terms of the turnstiles and how we can move people and stuff like that. And taking into consideration, one of the points that he brought up, or one of the things that he discussed, which was really meaningful to me, is our population. With 1 point, and that is why dealing with restructure, with 1.3, 1.4 million people, and how much people play football, and how much people will be able to attend our games, I think that analyzation or assessment was important, seeing that with 1.3 million people in Trinidad and Tobago, we know we have how much might be playing football. So in terms of getting our football forward, I would, as I said before, I would like to talk a little bit about restructuring, all right? Restructuring after Cyrus do his opening remarks and stuff. The restructuring of football in Trinidad and Tobago, which I feel is, for me, I feel is very, very key. So in saying so, as we continue, I would elaborate on it some more.
Okay, good. And that's what we want to throw out these ideas for the people who might not see what we see. And Dexter, you're on, but
Well, I'm thinking that everything that is happening right now is just purely based on the fact that we're in the midst of a pandemic. I mean,
Yeah.
the COVID-19 is out there, and so everything is at a standstill. But I don't think everything needs to be at a standstill. I think that, like, for instance, coaching badges and coaching courses, those things could be done. We need to be careful how we congregate. So we need to be careful how we deal with groups in large numbers and that kind of thing. But we could do coaching courses. I'm thinking that these things could happen. Courses could take place. It's a very good time and opportunity to educate coaches, right? Because it would be in a more controlled environment. It wouldn't be players playing with each other and that kind of thing. Listening to the outcry of the general public, you find that we're making a lot of comparisons based on the fact that we're watching sports playing in other countries. But the dynamics behind that, we have to be careful, because now the NBA bubble, the NBA playing where players getting tested every 48 hours,
Yes.
every 2 days. I'm talking about players, staff, everybody. Do we have that kind of resources here? For we to bring groups together to know that if this man has COVID or that man has COVID, you understand what I'm saying? And then in England, you're getting tested weekend, midweek, weekend. The leagues that play around the world, the top 5 leagues that play around the world, that is COVID-19 regulations now for football. You get tested on the weekend, you get tested midweek, you get tested on the next weekend. So now you could actually structure games and your fixtures based on if you get a COVID outbreak, you could snap it in the bud quick. Because if you're not testing properly, like for instance, what happened to Aston Villa? What happened at Aston Villa? If you're not testing properly and these men go to play with COVID and it get out of hand, next thing the whole league had to shut down. And they don't want that. Remember, they want the TV rights. So, So I think, I don't think everything needs to be at a standstill, but we have to be careful how we're making comparisons on the outside. On the outside, they have the resources, they have the finances, they have certain things in place to do certain things. We have to be very careful when we decide to bring groups together. No, we have to be very careful how we're dealing with testing of players and officials and all that kind of things, And I don't think we could keep everybody in a bubble.
based on what Dexter just said, we have a normalization committee. So FIFA is running our football. So we should have money, right? They have the money.
We should.
So why don't we we should be taking advantage and let them implement?
We should have money.
Exactly.
And call for it. Call for, hey, if we need to do testing every week, we do it for the players and get something going. I mean, we have to put some kind of pressure on them, I think. I'm just throwing that out based on what you just said.
Right.
What do you think?
I want to build on something that Cyrus said and something that you said, and this was discussed within my physical education group. Just recently, there was an ad for coaches for the female national team.
Mm-hmm.
They were oversubscribed. So one of the things that we suggested, some of the ideas that came up, all those coaches, why don't TTFA, well, the normalization, this is one of the suggestions that I am suggesting. All those coaches, if they have that coaches program where we have, as you said, FIFA is running the football, so we have funding for that, right? That we get those coaches on board at the primary level and at the secondary level. Because right now, the way how you would get a coach, let's say for the schools that don't have the money, like let's say for my school, for example, we would get somebody to come to coach the team based on their qualifications. The Ministry of Education, through the physical education unit, will approve someone that person, based on the qualifications, will get something like $40 an hour, maybe 70, maybe 110 for the highest, right? And for a coach, that is not a feasible thing. And then that money is coming out of the school, the subvention that the ministry gives the school. So if TTFA could have that program where they have the money from FIFA to sponsor that primary and secondary school coaching program, where they have coaches assigned to schools and where they do the payment of the coaches at a reasonable, stipend or whatever, that could be attractive, because we have a lot of talent at primary and secondary level that, when we finally start back up, at least we have a pool that, we can draw from. So once they have, and as I said, things that Cyrus said we in the pandemic and so forth, but that doesn't mean to say that the mechanisms that we need to put in place cannot be put in place. And one of the things that I want to suggest is that coaching program where you have that primary, secondary, you have those coaches and you have them attached to different to schools, and they are paid through TTFA substantially. Well, reasonably, that will be attractive so that they can work with our youths.
That point, right? This point that she's making, where are we going to get another? Brian was before. Brian, I played with Brian, but Brian was before me when it comes to the national team. So where are we going to get the other Brian Williams and Dexter Francis and the Russell Atapi and the Dwight York from? Where are we going to get those players from? They're going to fall from the sky? They're going to just drop through the woodwork? Where are we going to get them players from? One of the most important things as far as structuring Trinidad and Tobago football is concerned is putting a structure in place to create the next Russell Atapi. When are you going to do that from? You have to now tap into your academies across the country. You that ain't just going to happen. Because now, when these children lose the contact hours that they need in the developmental stage, we lost them. They could only reach so far. We lost them.
And I want to say something.
Well, I'll let you say it as soon as we get back. We need to take a break right now. Viewers will be right back after a short break.
We baffle right now between two leagues, and I say it's important in the restructuring.
You're watching ACTN, The Voice. ACTN The Voice, your family-friendly station.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Okay, we're gonna open it up, barbershop discussion, and Linda, you on.
Right. To add to Cyrus's point, I was going to say that pool of talent, for example, at my school, San Fernando East Secondary, I will give my school title.
Yeah, them are big up.
Big up, right.
Right.
At San Fernando East Secondary, my Form 1 footballers, I had a group of dynamic, and they came out of primary school, footballers, right? And now that they do not have that opportunity to play, that talent not being harnessed. But if we have the mechanisms in place and the structures, they are still young, and by the time we start back, if we could get them into some program or something, then, as you would say, I can see the next Brian Williams, I can see the next Russell Atapi, I can see the next Leon St. Louis, I can see the next Dwight York in those players that I have. And I'm sure I could see it because the SSFL has an under-13 league. And I think that Form 1 under-13 league, and the talent that I saw at that under-13 league in the South Zone, we could find one of each of those persons, even in goalkeeping. I have a young goalkeeper, and he's now going into in Form 2 now. And I think given the right opportunity, we could get another Ross Russell or another Michael Morris, or even better.
And Steve and Linda, and this is the point where in my opening remarks, what I made about structuring. And this one, all what I said is good and well, you know, but we've been
honest.
there. And I'm saying this is an ideal opportunity for our football administrators to put our football in the right perspective.
Right.
And what I'm saying, man, that's why I come to restructuring and taking it from the top. I dealing from the senior level now.
Mm-hmm.
We battle right now between two leagues, and I say it's important in the restructuring. I see two tiers. Like for instance, we talk about the Pro League and we talk about the Super League, and I talk about that's why I think given the administrators and people who have that power to try to give them time to put things in place as properly as possible, because we no longer could play football, and this is my suggestion, in separately. If the Pro League is being classed as our Premiership and the Super League is which will be our championship, I think that level of restructuring, and then we'll have our zonal football, then we'll have a national youth league, and then we'll come down into colleges league and all that. This is where I want to see our football administrators go. All the thing about which academy and which youth team and which school team and all those things, yes, as Cyrus said, how could we bring ourselves back to regional power and even international? No way again we could be separate. If the Pro League and the Super League are being run by separate entity, there must be integration now in our football competitions. And I saying now, and that's why I come to the point that Trinidad only 1.3 million people. So we don't need no big set of football in terms of complicating things. We need to structure and simplify it. We have the Pro League and the Super League where they must be integrated to have promotion and relegation. And then I would say from there, you drop to the zones. The zones, again, you have a playoff in the zones, and the zones, first two or first three could go into to the championship, and then we have those type of things. Now we have a national youth league, and then you could come now down into the youth programs and stuff like that. But putting something sustainable where you could work in it and have a strategic plan, you could work in the next 4 to 5 years or 10 years, you could produce the next Dwight York or Russell Latapi or whoever they might be. This is how our football goes, because for too long, our football has been separated because of egos. And nowhere, if you watch the big footballing nations, watch how much, for how long, the English Premier League that we know that all of us like to watch, we've seen that running for years since we born. Yeah, they maintain a structure. Yeah. So our football now, seen in Trinidad and Tobago, if you, as I say, the Pro League and the Super League have to be integrated, and you have to get promotion and demotion. Then you have the zones, we could have the same things, and being run by the governing body. Again, I say, I don't know, it might be, the Pro League and the Super League might have separate executives, okay. And then we'll have to do all the things with the refereeing, the coaches association, and all those things have to put, because a functioning football association, all these separate entities have the purpose and must be involved, because I think now that it's plain to see that people could have that, we could have that understanding. I see now, you're seeing new blood coming into football decisions in Trinidad and Tobago. We all have to give them support. We have to support our program where Trinidad and Tobago football is paramount and the main interest, not what I do in the Super League and what I do in the Pro League and all those separation taking place for us to get a proper national team, because our country football is only measured by the success of the national teams, you know.
The national team.
The national teams, you know. So we have to get our national team functional. We have to know in the school programs and whatever. I know school football have an important role to play, and from inception, we know how we have to think. But look, yesterday I was looking at football, and I watched Everton bring on a 16 and a 17-year-old to play for Everton, which in Trinidad, and then we have to compete internationally with, I would say, with players of such nature. Where we seeing a 16-year-old or something so playing for our national senior team? So as Cyrus and Linda said, the youth programs are very important, but before we do all that, structures have to put in place so where corporate Trinidad could function and support the national interest. Because we have been seeing, even in my time, every corporate person that put money into Trinidad football won their own cup, won their own competition, and this is the Super League fighting against the Pro League and all those things taking place. I just have a serious problem with that. How could we move forward holistically to make Trinidad and Tobago football be the winner? And that is my key points that I'm making here now. So in saying all of these things, our administrators have to be very, very, very kind of way strong and say, this is how we're running football in Trinidad and Tobago, and stand by it. They also have to be responsible. They also have to be responsible. Likewise, all the stakeholders. So it's important that to that level, I want to see the game move forward.
Steve, the structuring of the leagues at the top, and also when you reach national level, right? Even if it's national youth level, that there now is the showcase.
Yes.
That's the showcase, right? The structuring at the bottom with the academies is the preparation and the making of the product that you're going to showcase.
Definitely.
The preparation and the making of the product that you're going to showcase. Because when England realized they had a lost generation, 3 World Cups in, a period of 4 World Cup here, 4 years, next 4 years. So 3 World Cups, they realize, wait now, what's going on? We're paying players the most money as footballers in the world, but we can't showcase the best product. Nah, something wrong. Where they tap into? They tap into the top, they tap into the bottom. To prepare the product that's coming up. She speak about Form 1. Form 1 I think is a little too late. I think 5, 6. Me seeing the structure of academies and how they prepare the product. Me seeing that, I saw it in Portugal playing there. But Monday to Saturday, that the contact hours. It are days in between that you training twice a day as a kid. Under 10, Monday to Saturday. And then what? We now come on a Saturday morning and we feel that our academy, you're running an academy on Saturday morning or Sunday or whatever, and you go and you feel a kid who putting in 6 days a week. We putting in 1 and 2 weeks going and match up with these kids. Now in football, now. Watch America. America have players on starting 11s in teams in the top leagues in the world. They go on to the next level. I watching this American goalkeeper for Man City. So Gino Des playing right back for Barcelona. McKennie playing central midfield for Juventus.
All of these men, Yedelin and all of these.
Havertz and not Havertz, Reina's son who playing for Borussia Dortmund. These is starting 11 players. Representing the different clubs in the top leagues in the world. They are Americans. America pick a second string team to come to play with them. And still I feel we got to go and fight up. Right? So the product, and I feel, okay, in my time it didn't have this big emphasis on academy. But we got contact hours by default because we used to be in the savannah every day. So we got the contact hours that we needed by default. Remember, 40,000 contact hours you're looking at to create a top-class teenager. 40,000 contact hours. You could do that trading Saturday morning when you reach 5 to 10, 11, 12. But by time, maybe when you're a teenager, your mother might have the confidence to send you in the savannah by yourself. You run down the road there with your friends and them and that kind of thing. And that was a long time. In these times, you're still studying to send your child in the savannah by yourself because times change. So you see how things get different and how you have to look at things. The bigger picture, based on how you want to look at things, it have to be, everything have to be on the table at the same time simultaneous. You can't fix your senior team and you ain't fix the product.
I want to jump in here because you said that Form 1 a little too late. But I was able to see the product that was produced, that showcase that was done at the primary school level.
I'm not saying that you wasn't see the product. I'm just saying at that age, it's too late.
Yeah, but
obviously your players would have been in a club where they would have started earlier.
And this why understand.
That's why I'm glad that you talk about tapping into where you're going to get that product.
And this is where both Cyrus and Linda have the point, you know, and this is what's going on. You see, academies, and this is important, academies are important. Academies are important. But when you're coming to really the level of development, because for instance, Brian Williams go have your academy, Cyrus go have your academy, Linda go have your share academy. But we have clubs. So what the clubs have to do now, when coming to now, like Linda said, in her school she saw good Form 1s, but they come from Cyrus Academy. I'm just saying, so they might come from Cyrus or Brian Williams Academy to come into Linda's school to be a Form 1, to be a good product as the team. But when we coming out to move to the other level now, the clubs now, those academy players now will have to get into organized clubs. This is what's going on here now in Trinidad and Tobago, you know. You see this, Tom, Dick and Harry have an academy and everybody feel the academy and they're separate. So it's a whole kind of different thing. But when Cyrus produce his young players, he have to now try to get them into a club.
Yes.
And this is where the problem is in Trinidad now, because everybody want to hold on to now have little youth man who might be playing under 16 football. He in Cyrus Academy, then he come and playing for Presentation College, and then he had to come and play for I just use an example, W Connection under 18 or under 16 football. So you see all way different things where he passing through. So these way we have to know how to lock in and proper structuring, because we are the finders. The academy are the finders, taking up the 5-year-olds and stuff. But when you see them to move, because when you talk about academy football in England, you're talking about Chelsea playing against Manchester United and all them. You're talking about Cyrus Academy playing against Linda Academy.
No, you're talking
because
about
that is yes. So we have to understand it, and these where we're not mature enough as footballing people to understand that, because there is no finders fee and thing in Trinidad. So we taking ownership, boy. Now, boy, don't go by that club, boy, because I want to play for Cyrus Academy, to play against Cox and to play against Linda and all them different things. So when I would move that player, or when I could be able to let go that player, but these were going on. So these were talking about support, unification. We have to be unified. We have to understand where we want the player to go. Because at the end of the day, if we have a pro league club, then we want our players now to be, any academy in England want the player to join Manchester Academy, Manchester Youth Program, or Chelsea or Liverpool, They're not stopping by we individually. And this is the problem we have been going forward. So these were saying that when you see you have players, why we can't have a 16 or a 17-year-old knocking on the doors of the national senior team? And we've seen it all over the world. So this is where something that I say we as footballing people have to let go and work in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago football. Other than that, we'll be in problems. we'd be in problems.
And this is where all the different aspects of TTFA need to get their programs in order.
In place.
And say to Mr. Haddad, this is what we want
Yes.
moving forward.
Yes.
So let's say the Coaches Association, the persons involved in refereeing, referees department, referees committee, all right, those who are involved with selection of national teams, those who are involved in the club level, those who are involved in the Pro League and Super League, okay? This is what we need to get in place so that, and that's, as you say, administration, you
Yeah.
have to get that
Yes,
administrative,
you have to put
you
in-
have to put your structures in place.
Yeah.
And this is what, and I don't think that anything is being done at that level. And we really need to get that level organized. Once that level is organized, you can start, you can at least start something so that when we are finally able to get back on the physical aspect of it, everything is in place.
place.
It depends
All right.
also on where the focus is.
I'll come back with you, Dexter. We need to take a break, but when we come back, I want us to give them the suggestions that need to happen. They're hearing us, but it looks like they can't move. This foot stuck in the mud. So take the foot out of the mud and say, this is what you need to do, X, Y, and Z.
I could deal with referee.
And you can deal with that. Good, Linda. All right. Dexter, we come back with you. Viewers, we'll be right back after this short break.
Everybody was concerned about us getting banned. So everybody had put in the piece and the 2 cents and the 5 cents.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Watch Studio 5.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Again, we went through all the issues and the problems, and that's what I wanted. You guys are so great, doing so well. So now, let's throw some suggestions there for them. This is what you need to pick up, and this is what needs to happen. So I'll come back with you, Dexter.
I am saying, right, that if we're looking at the football, the bigger picture, we're looking at it holistically, then we have to start somewhere. The product has to start, the product that we want to showcase at national level has to start somewhere. So Brian is saying, we make sure the leagues are entwined in the proper way, because we're seeing that around the world. We're not seeing no league around the world structured like how our football is structured. How our football is structured, that is outdated as way outdated. So we put that in place, right? We want to be able to not just have a product to play in Trinidad. Mm-hmm. You want clubs around the world to be able to say, wait now, look, I feel we could use this. We feel we could use this little Trinidadian boy. I feel we could use this one. I feel we could use, just like what they're doing with the Mexicans and the Costa Ricans and the Americans now around the world. They're taking them in major clubs. Who we have outside? Levi playing for AEK Athens. That's the only person playing in Europe. Who else did have? Who else did have? That's what we want. We want the product not just to play in Trinidad. We want people to take the product and bring them up to the top level in the world. In the world. In the top 5 leagues in the world, bring them up to world-class level. That is why we want to create a good product. Okay. Not just to play in Trinidad leagues.
What I want to see simply, Steve, is the restructuring, and I'll go straight to it. The restructuring of our football. Our 2 major leagues, taking it at senior levels, must be integrated, where promotion and demotion must take place. And from there, you'll have the zone football. I would also like to see a national youth league, and then we know how our world school football will be run. How our school football could run, I think you might have to, as I say, adjust the age limit of the, because seeing that a youngster, which is 20 years old, still playing colleges football, amongst sometimes 14 and 15-year-old, I don't know how productive that will be for us to produce good young players at international level.
Yes.
So these some of the things that I would like to see, you know. We got to, so the people in them, we need to do that type of adjustment to our senior football, and then hit up a lot of, with youth programs, a lot of ideas, because I know there's a lot of intelligent people out there who know what is required and what's supposed to be done. But the implementation of it is what does hamper us, because we know finance is key. We know everything that we have to do in life, or we have to do is a cost. But we got to try to put things in place, try to get into corporate Trinidad and Tobago to see how best we could support our football. Our national coaches and everybody, we must be unified and we must support each other regardless, I wouldn't say regardless, who coaching the national team at this point in time or who whatever, we have to give the coach the necessary support, because we're too much in the crab in a barrel syndrome with our football, and our football stand upon us. So I would like to see a whole restructuring of our football league, and put some interest in it. When we do our fixtures, we have games putting off because it's Mother's Day and it's Father's Day, and we know Trinidad have the most of the holidays in the world. So and they would just go on, we see and Carnival, and we seen boxing day and thing, football playing, you don't want football day, and a man anti-die from our team, let me pull off the game. So we need to be strong in that aspect. Again, I know how difficult it is, because I know even if there have to be some type of adjustment in what is required to play in the Pro League. Let's be realistic. One of the criteria from when I was involved, you must have, a Pro League team must have at least 15 full-time players on a full-time contract. Which football team in Trinidad and Tobago have that? Which football team in Trinidad and Tobago have their own venue? Hardly likely we have those type of things. So we have to, in putting our things, simplify our football and make it more accommodative for us to operate. Yes. And we could, so our youngsters were going to school in primary school could follow our football.
Yes.
This is our national league, or this is our premiership, this is our championship, this is it. But sometimes it doesn't know what's going on, and it causes problems in our football. So restructuring, for me, is key, and we must try to drive in that way.
Linda, you must have something to restructure.
Before I go into refereeing, I want to build on, just touch on something that Brian said. Brian spoke about financing being, one of the aspects, and we know that in order to get things done, you need finances. Mm-hmm. Now I know that FIFA provides finances for several programs. So some of the things that we need to do, is especially for youth development, all right? So some of the things that we need to do is to at least have that committee set up that will deal exactly with funding for various programs in development. So that is one of the things that I want the new committee, Mr. Haddad and the persons involved, to try and see about that, so that we can tap into all that FIFA has to offer for football development. Right. So now I go to refereeing. One of the things that I want to see the referees committee being reestablished. The chairman being someone who is under the, and I want things put in place properly under how FIFA said that refereeing should be organized in member associations, not to be given to someone who has a conflict of interest and their own ideals. Because I will tell you this, when the referees committee, when Mr. Taylor was given, Joseph Taylor was given the chairman of the referees committee, I was all in to work with Mr. Taylor, and still all in. But when you want to push your own agenda and victimize persons, victimize persons because they do not agree with your agenda, right? Because you want things to organize under the TTFRA, which is clearly not what is stipulated by FIFA, okay? And when the zones like South Zone and Tobago decided not going with your plans, the referees in South Zone get victimized. I have 2 of my referees and another one who were victimized. Right now, one of our best referees decided to call it quits because he should have been back on the FIFA panel, and because of constant victimization, right, he has now decided that's it, call it a day, right? One of our female referees, if it is that we weren't talking to her, trying to keep her on thing, she would not have been back on the FIFA panel this year, right? So first of all, I would like to have a chairman who is willing to work with the way how FIFA say that refereeing should be organized. When the committee that is supposed to be formed, a representative, an elective representative from each zone. The referees in the zone will say, okay, we are voting for this person, and this person is going to be our representative on the referees committee. Not somebody who you feel will give you all the yes, right? Somebody who will be there to seek the interests of the referees in their zone.
Who's supposed to kick off that now? Is FIFA, the TTFA?
The chairman of the referees committee is supposed to be TTFA. The TTFA is supposed to appoint that person. Presently, Joseph Taylor is still supposed to be still the chairman. Well, I think those, as far as I get to understand, those committees are supposed to be null and void. All those appointments are supposed to be null and void. I don't know how true that is, but I know that Joseph Taylor is still operating in his capacity, because just recently, something that I was afraid of, because when it was the time for nominations for our FIFA referees to get back on the panel, nothing was in place because we were on a ban, right? And persons who were supposed to be seeking the referees' interest they were seeking their own personal interest, right?
Well, why don't they reach out to FIFA now?
We have already, I know that there are persons who have reached out to Mr. Haddad, and he said that things are not in
place yet.
Be patient, right? But being patient, we need to get things back in place, because as I said, once we have the referees committee, 10 minutes, right? Once we have the referees committee in place, once we have the referees committee in place, things could start working. We can put the referees department in place, and it's the referees department that is the driving engine for the development, for training and development of referees. We need to get somebody in there who is not biased either, right? So that we can get things going.
So they need to reach out to Haddad to make that happen.
There are persons who have been reaching out to Mr. Haddad, but we have not been getting any response.
All right, they listen to you now.
So I would really like to reach out to Mr. Haddad. We have put suggestions out there, because we really want to get refereeing back in order.
I love your enthusiasm.
Yes, and I'm very enthusiastic.
And Cyrus is being patient.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah.
Highly enthusiastic.
And
She's highly enthusiastic.
But
Okay.
you know, it's baffling to me, Steve. FIFA membership, right, supposed to be guided by FIFA statutes and policies and all these things. And recently, it's one of the times I see the most problems with constitutions and court and law and things taking place with nearly all the organization, even self in Trinidad and Tobago. We had problems with the North Zone. We had problem with so and so zone, so and so. Because recently I seen like all of a sudden everybody now coming aware of, either aware or not aware of what's supposed to be done and what not supposed to be done, and all these things taking place recently. Because if you sign on as a member of FIFA, again, they have statutes and things that policies are supposed to be guided by. And the governing body now rests with now in Trinidad with the TTFA. And we have to know that if this is the TTFA constitution, and when I understand South Zone, North Zone, they have different constitutions for the elections and stuff, so it can keep causing these big problems on what's supposed to be done and who's supposed to be elected and how the president's supposed to operate. So it comes so baffling to all of us. And at the end of the day, football not gaining nothing or not winning is not the winner. And this is the problem that I have it. Too much time in Trinidad football, we rest on personalities and people with their own egos and not the interest of the game.
That's right.
Not the interest of the game. That's why we're in this problem now. Trinidad used to be a power regionally. Now we're struggling. Even so, to do things. And as again saying, this is the ideal opportunity. We had our ban with FIFA. We had already the COVID and all them things. We had time for people to sit, reflect, and see how best we could put things again to make our football go forward.
Right.
Where is the FIFA Normalization Committee's focus? What is it focusing on? Do we know?
Well,
I'm thinking they come in to deal with
The administrative aspect. Put our
aspect
football back in where it's supposed to be.
And that kind of
finance
thing,
and whatever.
and all that. I think they're supposed to come to try to make football correct. That's what I think. I don't think they're supposed to be just focused on the coach or the TTFA and the other day with these men and them who they didn't do this and they didn't do that. I don't think that's supposed to be their focus. Their focus is supposed to be our football structure.
That's right.
Put it back on track. Where does our structure of our football begin with? It begins at the bottom, take it straight to the top, the national teams and all these things.
Here's what I want. Give me a minute. I want, they say the freaks come out at night, right? And when Wallace administration was doing the thing and FIFA came in, and they wanted them to give it up to FIFA, all the freaks who wanted them to give it up to FIFA, they came out bandwagon, they had petition signing and all of that. And they got it now. So you got it. And everybody went back in the shell. I don't see them no more.
Yes.
I don't see them petitioning no more to FIFA to say, hey, do something to our football. So all of you who did that, I want this, against the Wallace administration and who was making all these hoorah, and they're on TV6 and you're on CNC3 and you're on all kind of programs. To give it up, I want to see you come out now and tell FIFA, where are you going? Let's do something, because they're not, and so on. Give us something, push some kind of thing to get them going.
Everybody went on the bandwagon so that we wouldn't get banned. Everybody was concerned about us getting banned. So everybody had put in the piece and the 2 cents and the 5 cents because we don't want Trinidad and Tobago to get banned. Okay, fine. That ban has been lifted.
So let's keep going.
And this is my main point.
What now?
And this is my main point.
What
It's
now?
now the ban that's lifted, and we no longer a ban association. Should we go back or do things as we used to do it before? No, we got to look at ways to go forward, where we could improve.
To go forward.
Because as I just rightly said, we ain't get banned again, so let me start up the football now. And the same thing, you're playing, you don't know when you're playing, or you're this and that, you don't know when you have a game, no, but on all these things go on. And we going back to the same way. We got to restructure and we got to go forward. And this is the main thing that is my main concern in Trinidad football.
And this is why I'm saying the first thing, as he said, the Normalization Committee is here to bring order, supposed to be bringing order and structure back. So what needs to be done is that Mr. Haddad needs to meet with the various groups, the various body parts of the TTFA, and hear their suggestions, because I don't know how much knowledge he has about football and the operation of football and so forth. But listen to the right persons and do that.
But you know what's going on, Linda and Cyrus, Steve? The TTFA is being guided by a membership, And right now, the membership, which is the clubs, etc., seems to be divided and don't know who going where and who want to. And this is the problem we're causing.
That's the first thing they need to do. Get together and bring their things to the table.
Yeah, and then we're not. If you look at Pro League as being one entity and Super League as being one entity and the zones as being another entity.
We got to be integrated.
Then there's 3 different entities now having to go to the TTFF to talk about football.
One thing.
All right. I need to take the mantle now, guys.
Yes.
And I thank you guys for so much for all your information, and I hope they listen, and I hope something happens real soon. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you so much.
Yes,
Thanks for the opportunity.
yes, definitely.
Thank you, ACTN, for giving us the opportunity. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in every Monday night at 8, and repeat at 1 on a Tuesday and a Saturday. We have a Facebook page. You can check us out. We have an email address, freedodreamtv@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. This show has ended. Go in peace. My name is Steve David. Good night.